We be live.
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are. What are we talking about today?
We are talking about the dastardly origins of Satan, Shaitan. Where does he come
Mm.
from? Where does this idea come from?
Mm-hmm.
You know, is he real? No,
It better be.
because we're already talking about it like he's not real or something.
Yes, yes. Oh, Qasim is already answering the question to the stream.
Yes. Next question, please.
So the title of the stream is the Devil Persian, and I have a reason that I think we might go there. Okay, not sure. I haven't seen this video. Okay, um, I don't know. I'm based on the people I talk to. I haven't yet done much research into this, and at some point I'm at to. I already got a book on it. It's on my list. I will read it about the origins of Satan. But I have had some scholars that we had as guests agreeing and disagreeing with this.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm saying, the position that I have that I don't know if it's true, is that the concept of the devil was copied by Jewish people from Zoroastrians when they were in exile, and they copied it from the Persians. Not just the devil, because in the Hebrew Bible, okay, hold on, let's go here first. In the Hebrew Bible, Satan is mentioned, but not necessarily as the devil that we recognize him today. He's mentioned like, and Satan is a title; it's not like a name. He's supposed to be. Wow, your audio is like very loud. What happened?
Well, I switched it because people were saying I was too low.
Oh, okay, good. The concept of Satan in the Hebrew scripture was supposed to be kind of like an inquisitor, or like somebody who I don't know, somebody who is advocating against. I don't know. It's a position.
In
It's not a
Hebrew,
name.
doesn't the word actually mean like adversary?
Adversary. That's what I was like. Yes, adversary. Okay, it's an adversary. It was a position. It was somebody in the council of God or whatever. He's supposed to be challenging. Anyways, it doesn't matter.
The accuser.
The accuser. Yes,
Yeah,
there you go.
it
Thank you.
translates to either like the adversary or the accuser.
Yes, but he wasn't like supposed to be the enemy of God. He wasn't supposed to be the God being good and devil being bad. He had his role, and that was even yeah. So, and also the idea that the serpent, the snake in the Garden of Eden, that was Satan. That was a later invention by Christians, I think. Okay, like this. The snake was one thing, and Satan was something else. Nowhere in the Genesis mentions that the snake had anything to do with the devil. Okay, that association was made later. Okay, so there was just Yahweh. So Judaism used to be a multi. Okay, what?
Katie is saying that the snake was the devil. He was the devil's advocate. So then that means he was basically Armin.
Right. Okay. Can you let me finish my thoughts before you interrupt me again? Okay. Oh my God. Where was I? Yes. All right. So the idea that so Judaism used to be multiple gods, right? Yahweh and Baal and some other gods. And the fight between Yahweh was not with the devil. The fight was between Yahweh and competing gods. Okay, that was at first Judaism was a multi-god religion, right? Polytheist religion. But then it went to Yahweh being the main god. Other gods exist, but you shouldn't be worshiping them. And eventually, Yahweh exists. Other gods are fake. The modern version of it, right? The devil was not the enemy. The devil became the enemy later I think, we'll see if I'm correct, by the way, under the influence of Zoroastrianism, which had more of a view of a binary of good and evil in the world, right? So in Zoroastrianism, you have two gods, Ahura Mazda and Ahriman. So the idea of being the world being binary, the world being a struggle between good and evil, good guy, bad guy. When Jews became under the influence of Zoroastrians, they were like, they started playing with that concept, and then Satan was promoted to the position of being the evil character in the Bible, and the Christians ran with that. Okay, late Judaism, that was something that's why in Judaism you also don't have the concept of hell, but late Judaism you see they're starting to play with that as well, because they took that concept from Zoroastrianism as well. Again, this is what I think is true. I don't know if any of this is true. Okay, some people say this is not true, some people say this is true, some people say this might be true. Okay, the reason why some people say it might be true is because we don't have an exact proof that Jewish people took these ideas out of Zoroastrianism. It just so happens that these ideas started showing up in Judaism right after, at the time that they became exposed to Zoroastrians. So it would be an explanation that makes sense, even though we don't have a direct proof for it. Does that make sense? Yeah. Anyways, let's see how much of what I said is true. Anything in the live chat that we need to pay attention to? Anybody said anything?
Kenji is saying that the name Iblis comes from a root that means despair, which is interesting.
Interesting. Oh, here, Katie always with the good information. It went from Canaanite polytheism to Yahwism to finally Judaism. Yeah, but Judaism itself, no, that's not necessarily true, Katie, because Judaism itself at the beginning was closer to Canaanite polytheism. Like, it's not like Judaism was. No, so I don't know how you define Judaism, because Judaism, if you.
Yahwehism is a henotheistic religion which had multiple gods, but they worship Yahweh as the main god, and then became Judaism, where Yahweh is the only god.
Well, modern Judaism, because Yahwism was Judaism, like, and also even before Yahwism, I mean, what depends on how you define Judaism. If you're saying the Jewish people's religion was Judaism, then Judaism, even before Yahwism, people before the exile, people were worshiping gods like Baal. Even before Yahwism, Judaism, that religion was Judaism, right? So maybe what you mean is the final version of Judaism. This that's what you mean.
What we now know as Judaism?
Yeah. Anyways, let's look at this. By the way, this timeline that we just went through would not be apparent if you read the Bible, right? Because the Bible, the people who wrote the Bible went and changed the text after their ideas changed. Do you know what I mean? So the Hebrew Bible, so during the exile, after the exile, the people that were canonizing and writing the Bible, the Hebrew Bible, they went and changed earlier texts, like added text to Genesis, added text to Exodus and stuff like that. So it might seem like, oh, this was Yahweh's from the get-go. No, it wasn't. The religion changed, and the earlier text was added and removed to make it seem like it was Yahweh's from the beginning. It wasn't Yahweh's. Like, we have so much archaeological evidence that not the Canaanites, but Jewish people themselves were worshiping Baal, not just Yahweh. You know, the Jews were worshiping Baal, not just the Canaanite, the Jewish people as well. Here, let me see. Katie's saying Yahwism was like a cult from out of the Canaanite polytheism. Yes, I am defining Judaism as the Abrahamic religion and not the religion of the Semites. Okay. So if that's your definition of Judaism, then sure. All right, let's see how much of this we got correct.
Below for details.
Oh my God.
The Religion for Breakfast audience.
I've always wondered, what's the devil look like?
I love
George
this movie.
Clooney's character in the classic film Oh Brother, Where Art Thou knows a thing or two about demonology and the nature of Satan.
Yes.
Well, of course, there are all manner of lesser imps and demons, Pete, but the great Satan himself is red and scaly with a bifurcated tail. He carries a hay fork.
I'd say this is the old school stereotypical Satan. Red.
That I'm assuming this look, but I heard this look comes from Dante's Inferno, not from the Bible, with the horn and the fork and everything. And I'm assuming that eventually, I mean, maybe like earlier, no, maybe even before that, it got popularized by Dante's Inferno. I have no idea if this is true. This is what I heard. But I think the reason why this whole horn and the fork got popularized among Christians, yes, is because they took everything out of pagan religions, like Greek religions, Egyptian, mostly ancient Greek religions, right? And the gods of those religions, whatever they had, became what the devil looks like. Yeah. I think, like, for example, the devil's fork is Prometheus's. No, not Prometheus. What's that god? What's the sea god in Greek? Poseidon's trident. Yes. I think that's where that comes from. I think the hoofs comes from the other characters. What's that?
Well,
what's
and
that
also
guy?
Animals with cloven hooves are not kosher.
What's Hercules's trainer in the cartoon? What was his name? Oh, this guy. What's this guy's? What was this guy's name?
Philop.
I don't know, but look, this is Greek.
He's a satyr.
Okay, so this is Greek mythology, right? Look.
Yeah, he's a satyr.
This is where the devil's hooves and this is where they got it from. This is why the devil looks.
There's another name for satyrs. What are they?
So the Christians were simple, like very simple-minded, right? They were like, everything that is not Christian is pagan and evil and the part of the devil. Like, they were very binary about.
Literally demonized it.
Yeah, they literally demonized it. So everything from other religions, they took it, and I think they made the devil, not because the Bible said that the devil looks like this. They just took non-Christian religions and they added the features of it to whatever the devil was supposed to look like, right? And wait, what was that god's name? Poseidon? I don't know how. Yes, Poseidon. Let's see what Poseidon.
He has a trident. Hades has a bident.
Yes. So this is where they got the devil's fork from. I think. Maybe. Anyways, let's continue.
Red, scaly skin, armed with a pitchfork, popular especially in cartoons, and even making a brief appearance in Star Trek: The Next Generation. This version of Satan does not derive from the Bible, and it's not even particularly old relative to the span of Jewish and Christian history. It seems to stem from a confusing mix of artistic traditions from the medieval and Renaissance periods. But in this video, I'm not so much going to excavate the origins of this stereotypical portrayal of Satan, but more the concept of Satan himself. The Christian concept that he is a fallen angel, the ruler of demons, the chief tempter to commit sin, and on the scale of cosmic history, the arch enemy of God. Now, it's important to keep in mind that not even all Christians agree on the concept of Satan, typically hinging on the question whether to view him as an actual entity or as a metaphor of evil and temptation. For the Christians that do consider Satan to be an actual entity, he is usually conceptualized as a fallen angel, a created being who rebelled against God and now leads other fallen angels called demons. We see this view of Satan across most branches of Christianity, including the various Orthodox denominations, as well as in official Catholic doctrine. Pope Francis in particular references Satan all the time, specifically saying we should not think of the devil as a myth, a representation, a symbol, a figure of speech, or an idea.
So they're like, guys, this is not metaphor. This is literally a dude, okay? Like it's a guy.
In Catholic doctrine, and it's becoming increasingly more popular to think of the devil as a concept. That is heresy.
That's heresy, yes.
This mistake would lead us to let down our guard. Protestants are split when it comes to attitudes about Satan. Some denominations tend to interpret him metaphorically, while evangelicals tend to view him as a real entity. And for many Pentecostal Christians, which scholars sometimes categorize under the umbrella of evangelicalism, Satan is a real, active, malevolent threat, playing a significant role in ongoing demonic warfare. Of course, I'm generalizing here at the denominational level. Remember, religions are internally diverse. Even within a single denomination or a single church, you'll find Christians holding different opinions about Satan. Survey data about belief in Satan is sparse, and some of it is contradictory. But one Barna survey from...
Oh wait, I have mail. Can you keep everyone entertained? I'll be right back.
Let's see what you guys are doing. Satyrs are also known as Salinas. No, I feel like they're called something else. Let me see. Satyrs. Or maybe I'm thinking of a totally different like Greek mythological creature. Fawn. That's what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of a fawn. Robert is asking. Yes, I do remember when you asked this, Robert. I talked to Ali Rizvi about this, and hopefully they can get him on as secular jihadists. People are arguing about jinn versus Satan. Yeah, a fawn. What is the difference between a fawn and a fawn versus satyr? I know satyr are kind of known as being more maybe mischievous and potentially malicious. Like they're known kind of as more sexually harassing. But they're both half man, half goat. So what's the difference? A fawn is a mythological half human, half goat, and a satyr is a goat-like male companion of Pan and Diogenes. I can never say those Greek names right. So I guess satyr has to be involved with Dionysus, yeah. Okay, he's part of his team.
Oh my god, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
All right.
Let's get back on track.
Yes, where were we?
2009 found that upwards to 40% of American Christians strongly agreed that Satan is not a living being, but is a symbol of evil. So disbelieving the reality of Satan is by no means a fringe opinion.
Wait, how many percent? 40% of people think that Satan is
not literal.
40% of
Christians
in where? Christians. American Christians. What do you think about that? That's like, so basically.
Wait, I think he gave a little citation. I want to know what year that came from.
So basically, oh, here, you're right.
2009. I bet that's increased a lot in the past 10 years.
Wow.
So if this was published in 2009, then that means that data was collected years beforehand. I bet this number has increased.
So around half of American Christians are heretics, according to most traditional understandings of Christianity, both Catholic and Protestant. right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of flavors of American like Christianity that's not completely incongruent.
Wow, look at this sign, by the way. It
I
doesn't
love it. I love this sign.
Go to
That is the
like
devil look kind of cute. Like, look at his shoes.
no, but yeah, but it's like it's very direct. Go to church or the devil will
At
get
least
you.
they're honest with the phobia indoctrination.
They're not like
They're
there's
being
no
honest about the
yeah,
fear.
but they're not trying to be clever or poetic. It's like
Yeah,
let's just get to the point, okay? If you don't go to church, the devil will get you. Okay? It's just simple. It's just simple. Okay.
Satan is not a living being, but is a symbol of evil. So, disbelieving the reality of Satan is by no means a fringe opinion. But today we'll be examining the history of the concept that Satan is a real fallen angel and the arch nemesis of God. As we'll see, Satan has a history, and this concept evolved over time.
I'm going to lead you down the path that rocks.
Let's start with ancient Israelite religion and the texts of the Hebrew Bible.
Mm.
In the Hebrew Bible, the notion of a singular supreme evil entity and opponent to God is completely absent. The Hebrew word Satan
I was right about that.
does appear on a few occasions, usually translated as adversary or
We got that adversary or accuser. Accuser, we didn't say accuser. Accuser
Someone
was
in live
no.
chat said
I
accuser.
I said adversary or somebody who challenged. Yeah, but accuser. Who was that guy? Who was that guy that had everything going for him? And God and the Satan came and challenged God, like he's praising you only because everything is fine.
Job?
This Job, yes, okay. That's where I think he gets this whole accuser or adversary gets. That's where Satan, I think, enters the Hebrew Bible, right? And he's not like as a person that like tries to lead us down the evil path or tempt us. He's introduced in the Bible as somebody who's like challenges God. It's like playing a game of is betting against challenging God. They're like, let's see how much this guy really loves you. I think that's
Oh, you
that's
mean the
his role.
guy that like God tortures, like
Yeah.
it destroys his whole life just as like a personal game with Satan?
Yes,
to
but
show
that
how
was
strong his faith. Like it's horrible. I never
Yeah.
understood Job.
yeah. So, but the thing is, that was Satan's role in the Hebrew Bible, like not as this evil character that's supposed to tempt us, or it didn't have anything to do with the snake in the Garden of Eden. It was just that guy that came, probably some character in God's council, who says to God, like, God was bragging about, like, look at this Job guy. He loves me so much. He just loves me so much. Look at him praise me every day. And this Satan guy, his role is to be the accuser, he comes and says, like, but you gave him everything. So does he really love you? Does he love you? Does he love you? God was like, okay, let's try. Let's see if we what
Since you
happens.
made me insecure, so now I have to go test our relationship.
I have to be. You know what? Actually, this sounds like an abusive relationship, right?
Yeah.
And like, imagine if your like girlfriend comes to you and says, like, I love you so much. I'm like, let's see if I treat you like crap, would you still love me then?
Yeah.
That will sure, like, imagine if you start. Oh, I don't know if this is YouTube friendly, what I was about to say. Being very abusive, like being very, very abusive to your girl, just to test her. That's what God was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in the
I forgot that story. Did God win that bet? I think God won that. Of course,
Yeah.
God won. Yeah. Okay.
I
So
mean,
yeah,
after
he kept.
Job was just his life was just barren and
Yeah, he kills his entire family with disease. I
yeah.
always that story should make you wonder, like, what did the family do to deserve all that suffering?
As a kid, the first time I
Yeah.
read the Bible all the way through, I was like, "What the?"
I'm like, what is it? What about like people are like, it's okay. Eventually, God gave him a new family. I'm like, okay, but this is not just about him. Okay, what about the family that died from disease? right?
Earliest sections of the Hebrew Bible, the noun simply refers to human adversaries. For example, in 1 Samuel 29:4, the Philistines refer to King David as a potential adversary, using that same Hebrew noun. But in the later texts in the Hebrew Bible, the concept seems to evolve into some sort of divine job title, kind of like a prosecutor. The most
Oh, so yes, so it went from accuser to a title to a position. Like God was like,
Armin,
yeah.
look at how on top of it we are. We started talking about Job, and then this guy brings up Job.
Oh yeah, you're right.
We're
You're
freaking
right.
on top of it.
Yes. You're right. You're right. So I think like Satan was not the devil was the devil's advocate himself, right? So the devil was the OG devil's advocate, and God. So basically, God was so good. God was so pleased with his role as the devil's advocate and his counsel that he just promoted him. Like, okay, you were just doing this as a hobby, but now this is officially your job. Oh, and like, okay, yeah. So, but not that job, like title job. Anyways, this is confusing.
Yeah, he had 10 children.
Who had 10 children?
Job.
Oh yeah, Job. Yeah. By the way, we're using Job and Job in two different ways here. It's getting confusing. Okay. But anyways, yes.
some sort of divine job title, kind of like a prosecutor. The most notable biblical reference to this divine prosecutor appears in the book of Job.
Yes.
In the opening chapters of Job, God presides over some sort of divine court or divine council of heavenly beings. A being called the Satan, or the accuser, is present as well.
See, he's not even God's enemy. He's not fallen from heaven. He's in the council.
Mm-hmm.
He's in God's council. Like, what happened to the Christians eventually made it so that, like, oh, you're a fallen angel. You're the one that made Adam and Eve, like it was the snake, and now God made you, like, it's like you used to be God's, angel, and now you've fallen. But this is way after Adam and Eve. Okay, so here's how you know this is all crap.
Ooh. Oh, wait,
This
no, listen, I have it right here.
What?
So this is Job chapter 1, verse 6. One day the angels came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came with them. The Lord said to Satan, "Where have you come from?" Satan answered the Lord, "From roaming throughout the earth, going back and forth on it." And then the Lord said to Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job? There's no one on earth like him. He is blameless and upright, a man who fears God and shuns evil." And then, "Does Job fear God for nothing?" Satan replied. "Oh, have you not put a hedge around him and his household and everything he has? You have blessed the work of his hands so that his flocks and herds are spread throughout the land. But now stretch out your hands and strike everything he has, and he will surely curse you to your face." The Lord said to Satan, "Very well then, everything he has is in your power. But on the man himself do not lay a finger." Then Satan went out from the presence of the Lord. And then that's where everything starts to go wrong.
Guys, like, don't hurt my boy. Don't hurt my boy.
Don't you touch a hair on his head.
Like, go kill his. Oh wait, YouTube. Go do whatever. Go abuse his family, disease, everything. Make them all suffer. But my boy Job, don't hurt him. Don't hurt my boy. Okay.
But as I said, the Satan here is not so much a name as it is a job title. The accuser appears as a sort of legal adversary in a divine court. Notably, the Hebrew here refers to this Satan as the Satan, with a direct object mark.
See, it wasn't his name.
Yeah.
It wasn't his name, because if it was his name, why there's the here? Like, it's a position, it's a title. Right? Eventually it became a name, but originally it was just a title.
Suggesting that this
that God does not sound very omniscient. Yeah, it's not supposed to be. It was never supposed to be. That's also a later invention. Katie's saying feels like it was more of a bureaucracy, like a Chinese mythology, and then suddenly God became a dictator, and Dissent is illegal. Well, yeah. I mean, well, yeah. Okay. I don't know if that's true, but let's continue.
This is a particular recurring character. This divine adversary tries to find Job guilty of willing to give up his faith and sin against God. The Satan also appears in the book of Zechariah.
The Satan, how did he manage to find his way into God's counsel if he's fallen from heaven, right? Well, how did he manage to find himself in God's counsel?
Job
Right.
chapter 1 says he just comes with the angels. He just walked on in with the angels.
Yeah, so
and God is like,
This
where did
is
you come from?
not-
And he's like, I was on earth and I was roaming around the earth.
this is not the same character as the snake, okay? This is not at all whoever was responsible from Adam and Eve eating the goddamn apple and then falling from heaven. This is not the same dude, okay? These are connected later.
As a divine prosecutor, accusing the high priest Joshua of some sort of crime. The angel of Yahweh basically plays the role of the defendant's lawyer. Notice that neither of these references mirror later Christian conceptions of Satan. The adversary or the accuser in Job is not a prince of demons. He is not a fallen angel, nor is he an absolutely evil antagonist of God.
Yes.
He actually seems to be part of God's divine counsel.
Yes.
But it's significant that both of these mentions appear in literature composed during or after the Babylonian exile.
Yes, 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 yes. After or before the Babylonian exile, before the Persian influence, okay? I think we're going to head to Zoroastrianism here, okay? This Satan guy used to be just somebody in the council. There wasn't this whole good and evil duality. That was not the thing. That came from Zoroastrianism. We'll see.
For those of you that know your ancient Israelite history, the Babylonians sacked Jerusalem in 586 BCE and carried into exile many of the
because the Jewish people from the kingdom of Judah did not learn a lesson from what happened to the Jewish people from northern kingdom, the kingdom of Israel, when the Assyrians attacked them and completely destroyed their cities, right? That's what the Assyrians did to the Jews in northern in the kingdom of Israel. And then the people from the kingdom of Judah, they were like, when the Babylonians came into power, they were like, let's try the same thing. It didn't work for them, but it might work for us. They didn't learn from history, right? So they're like, we're not going to pay our taxes or whatever to the Babylonians. And the Babylonians were like, you guys are so cute if you think you can stand up to an empire. Like, you guys don't understand. The two Jewish kingdoms, like the kingdom of Judah and the kingdom of Israel, these were very, very insignificant kingdoms. Very small. Like, at the grand, scheme of things, when it comes to the Egyptian Empire and the Assyrian Empire and the Babylonian Empire and the Persian Empire, these were like little city-states with, the Bible makes it seem like they were the center of the whole universe. They were nothing. They were just playthings in the thing.
In comparison to the other legitimate empires that surrounded them.
Yes, in the battle between the empires, these Jewish kingdoms were just little toys that the different empires just took from each other. Right? So when the Jewish people, again, for the second time, started standing up against an empire, the Babylonians were like, okay, I guess we're going to destroy your temple.
It didn't go so well.
It didn't go so well for the second time. And then hundreds of years later, they did the same thing to the Romans. Again, the Jewish people, once they did it against the Assyrians, they didn't learn. They did it against the Babylonians. And then the Roman Empire, the biggest empire of them all, they're like, let's stand up against them as well. I'm like, okay, let's burn down your temple for a second time. Like that.
It's from the kingdom of Judah. When the Achaemenid Persian Empire defeated the Babylonians, the Achaemenids...
God damn it. No, Israel is not a fake country. It's definitely not a fake country. You're an idiot. No, it's not a fake country. When we say it was an insignificant kingdom compared to the empires around them, that doesn't make them a fake country. By the way, your glory.
Yeah, no, check the username. What do you think their take is?
Oh my God, yeah, you're an idiot, de facto idiot. you're an idiot because you don't understand that the concept of a country didn't exist about the time that we're talking about, right? So no. Let me just finish this, because this guy is such a moron. He doesn't understand that the time that we're talking about, the concept of a country wasn't even a thing, and the concept of a country that was made many, many years later is something that defined in a way that every country is a made-up country. Okay, like a country is a modern concept, and based on the modern definition of what a country is, every country is a made-up country.
I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Can't you say there's no such thing as a fake country? It's a social construct.
Exactly what I'm trying to say.
Like, define a real country.
Yeah.
Persian Empire defeated the Babylonians, the Achaemenids allowed them to return to Judea.
Oh yeah, so the Achaemenids, these are the Persians. By the way, I don't understand how this English version of Achaemenid Empire, this is Hachameneshi. How did you get from Hachameneshi Empire to Achaemenid? I never understood this, okay? So the Babylonians took over the kingdom of Judah, and they burned the temple to the ground. And then they exiled the Jews to Babylon, and King Cyrus from Persia, from the Achaemenid Empire, comes and defeats the Babylonian Empire, and then releases all the Jews from Babylon. However, if you read the Bible, you would get the impression that Cyrus came to Babylon to release the Jewish people. That was the entire point, which is wrong. Again, the Jewish people who wrote the Hebrew Bible, they thought that they were the center of the universe, okay? There was a whole bunch of tribes that were exiled to Babylon. And when Cyrus came and they freed everybody. Not just, they didn't came, the reason why Babylon was taken over peacefully, because the Babylonians had enough sense to realize that they can't resist against Cyrus. And they were like, you know what? Here's your city. Come take your city, right? And they opened the gates. And because it was a peaceful takeover, King Cyrus was like, let me be nice to everybody. Everybody could go home. You guys could go home and build your temples. In fact, I'll help you build your temples. But not just the Jewish temple, every temple, right? Every other people that were there as well. But let's continue.
The kingdom of Judah. When the Achaemenid Persian Empire defeated the Babylonians, the Achaemenids allowed them to return to Judea. Nothing before the Babylonian exile comes close to the Christian concept of Satan.
Yeah.
No fallen angels that rules other fallen angels, no specific enemy of God, but scholars surmise that something must have happened during this period that sparked this conceptual evolution from lowercase s Satan to the Satan.
Uh-oh.
And yeah, it's getting promoted to like a main adversary. But here's the thing. Again, like I said, there is no proof for this. It's just so conveniently, like it's a theory that makes a lot of sense because it will explain all of this. Right after the Babylonian exile, the whole notion of an adversary to God, just like Ahriman is to Ahura Mazda in Zoroastrianism, like nobody can prove that the Jewish people were directly influenced by Zoroastrianism, but it wouldn't be surprising if that's the explanation.
It seems probable.
Yeah, very probable. Okay. So I was saying, if Israel changes name to Palestine, but guys, that's a different topic. Okay, yes, it is very interesting. Let's continue.
Recurring adversary, and that something might have been Zoroastrianism.
Yes!
So for a period of
Oh, look at this. Oh, I can read this.
Yes, queen.
Andishenik, Goftaranik, Kerdaranik. This is the, you know how in Christianity and Judaism you have the 10 commandments?
Mm-hmm.
In Zoroastrianism, you have the 3 commandments.
Well, that's a lot easier to remember.
Yeah, the 3 commandments in Zoroastrianism are Andishenik, Goftaranik, Kerdaranik, which means, well, actually, I think the order should be first Goftaranik, Kerdaranik, Perdaranik. This should be Perdaranik, which means the same thing. So Goftaranik means good speech, good doings, and good thoughts. That's the 3 commandments. So say good things, do good things, think good things. That's the 3 commandments in the Zoroastrianism. Oh, Qasim is happy because from Persia.
Represent.
A history of mythology is always interesting. I agree, very, very much.
2 centuries from when the Jews returned from the Babylonian exile in 550 BCE until Alexander the Great conquered the region.
Oh, okay. Sorry. The order is supposed to be good thinking, good thoughts, good speech, and good doings. Do good things.
In 323 BCE, Judeans were under Persian control in one form or another. Judea itself remained part of the Achaemenid Persian Empire. So scholars...
Oh, so even though... okay, never mind. So even though they went back to Judah, they became a proxy of the Persian Empire. But they were actually... This is the first time they were happy proxies. You know what I mean? Again, the kingdoms of...
They had like human rights and...
Yeah, no, but they were also like, yeah, and then like they were very happy with Cyrus. So like again, they were never independent. Okay, like the Jewish kingdoms, they were either like you're part of the Assyrian Empire now, or like nope, you're part of the Babylonian Empire now. Like oh, you're part of the also Egyptian sometimes empire before that, right? And then now the Jewish kingdom like oh, you're now part of the Persian Empire, and the Jewish people were like. And then eventually, you're now part of the Roman Empire, or the Greek Empire, and then the Roman Empire, right? But they were never independent until now, right? But this was their proudest moment. They were like, this was like the Cyrus was a master that they were happy to have because he was like really nice to them. It was like, you guys could keep your religion, you can keep your culture, you could worship your gods. In fact, your gods love me. I talked to them. I talked to all the gods. Your gods love me. And the Jewish people were like, I think you're right. Your God, our God does love you. Our God does love you. In fact, not only our God loves you. If Yahweh was the person who commanded you, this is something that, Yahweh sent you to save us. Not only Yahweh loves you, you were a vessel in his hand. Thank you, Cyrus, for serving our God. It's very interesting because Cyrus apparently was serving 3 gods depending on who you ask, right? Depending on who, So if you ask the Jewish people, Cyrus came to save the Jewish people because Yahweh sent him. If you ask the Babylonian, I think that their god was Marduk. I forgot his name. But if you look at Cyrus's cylinder, right, which was propaganda designed for the consumption of the Babylonian when he came and invaded Babylon, Cyrus is a favorite of the Babylonian god. But if you go back to Persia, it's Ahura Mazda, who is the god that Cyrus serves. So again, depends on who you ask.
Tells me he knew what he was doing.
Exactly. He was good at marketing.
Scholars theorize that the exiled Judean elite must have come into contact with Persian religious functionaries and developed new theologies in light of the new religious ideas that they were hearing from the Persians, specifically Zoroastrian ideas. Zoroastrianism is...
This is a Zoroastrian temple. I think this is in Yazd. By the way, this is in this is in Persepolis, basically next to Shiraz, the city that I was spent most of my childhood in. And this one, I think this temple is in Yazd. I think, if I remember correctly, this is where the city where most Qasim, is this correct? This is in Yazd. Look, they're wearing chador, they're wearing hijab. And I think Yazd is where Iranian Zoroastrians are mostly based in Yazd. Is that correct, Qasim? We'll see.
Zoroastrianism is a very...
Oh, yeah. So the secular rarity is saying it's Marduk for the Babylonians. Yes, I said... Did I say Marduk? I think I said Marduk. Or I said Mazduk. Marduk. I should have said Marduk. Yes.
Very ancient religion still practiced today that originated in ancient Iran. It teaches that the divine being, Ahura Mazda, is a perfectly good being.
Guys, another interesting thing which I learned from Katie, this Ahura, you see this Ahura Mazda? Ahura is like a divine good, if you're Ahura, you're on the good side in Zoroastrianism, right?
But in Hinduism, Ashuras are demons.
Ashura are the demons. Is that not mind blowing? Is that not mind blowing? So in Zoroastrianism and Hinduism seem to be the opposite. Okay, so in Zoroastrianism, Ahura is good, Dev is like the bad guys, the demons. Dev. Okay, the Devs are bad. Dev means demon. Ahura is like good. Okay, in Hinduism, the same words are the opposite. Ashura, huh?
Ashuras are for demons, and
Ashura,
Devis are like
yeah,
goddesses or gods.
yes. Ashura in Hinduism is the demons, and the devas, the deva, which is Dev in Persian, are the good guy, and that's where divine. The word divine comes from deva in Hinduism. I mean, not doesn't come from, but it's related to. So, and that's where in English you get divine. Divine means godly or heavenly or whatever, right? So it's very interesting. I didn't know that growing up. This whole, because in our storybooks, Devs were the demons. The Dev were like Rostam went and fought this Dev and that Dev. Rostam is kind of like Hercules in Persian poetry, right? In Ferdowsi's Shahnameh or whatever, and he keeps fighting Devs. And I had no idea that Dev, which is supposed to be bad, is related to divine, which is supposed to be the good guys in English and in Hinduism. Is that not mind-blowing? Qasim, is your mind is blown or not?
Qasim is saying, yes, this is the main fire.
Oh, yep, that's right. You selected. Or do I say?
The main fire temple, and
Yes, I was correct about that. But Qasim, is your mind not blown that the whole concept of Dev, the Dev that we learn as children in school, that's supposed to be demons, that is where divine in English comes from? And that's where the devas in Hinduism is that not like mind-blowing? I don't know. I keep, this is what in the shower I'm thinking about this makes me go mad. I don't understand.
Locked in constant battle.
Oh yeah, so yeah, Katie is saying it comes from the Indo-European language family. Sanskrit, Persian, Greek, and English are all part of that language family, so they are related. Yes, exactly. Yeah, but it's amazing. It's not just related, it's just amazing that it's the opposite in Hinduism and Zoroastrianism. That's what makes me. What a successful way to make people hate a bunch of other people. Just steal their story, flip it around, and say all the stuff they like is evil.
that's what it seems like.
That's what it seems like. I don't know how this happened.
With a wholly evil being named Angramanyu.
I don't understand why they say Angramanyu. This is Ahriman. I don't understand where Angramanyu came from. Like, is this a English translation of Ahriman?
I like how frustrated you get with this. What is this shit?
Oh, Murta Skeptic is saying that's what makes me want to take linguistics. There are so many hidden gems in comparative linguistics and pi. Yeah, pi is the what is that?
Pi is everything.
Indo-European, Proto-Indo-European religion language. Yes, but it's very interesting because this whole pi thing, this whole
who is translating our words?
All right, but I wasn't finished with this one. This is like the DNA analysis version of memes. You know what I mean? So when you want to go and find the relationship between animals and plants, the clues that are left behind is in the DNA code, right? But when it comes to ideas and ancient religions and memes, the language, the linguistics is kind of like the hidden codes of figuring out which ideas came from what ideas and how ideas evolved. Language keeps like a hidden breadcrumb of how these ideas evolve from each other, right? Actually, there's two. One is archaeology. So, wow, I get it. So, archaeology is the fossil. So, what archaeology is to figuring out where ideas, how memes evolved, is what fossils are, how evolution happened, right? So, archaeology to memes is what fossils are to evolution, and what linguistics are to memes is what DNA analysis is to evolution. I just came up with that, by the way, right now. Isn't that? I think that's pretty impressive. I just came up with that right now. You guys saw me just right now. You experienced something very. If your mind is not blown by what I just told you, it's because you don't understand what I just said. Okay, but you just witnessed something profound being suggested right in front of you live. Okay, so you're welcome. There are Persian
This is like
tribes.
half of our calls, like off air. We're just like, you're witnessing something profound right now, Susanna. Do you even understand? Like, you guys just got to witness like what half of my life is.
There are Persian. Okay, so Katie's saying there are Persian tribes who were enemies of what is this? The Bahara tribe. Oh, so Katie is explaining why these are the opposite. In the Rig Veda, Bahara tribe is how India got its Hindi name. Okay, Katie said you have to send me some videos about this for us to review. Is the original Avestan Angra Menu is the original Avestan names. Ahriman is the Middle Persian version. Wow. So Katie,
how do you know this?
So Katie's saying that this is actually the original name for Ahriman. Okay. Morta Skeptic saying you can build a phylogenetic tree of linguistics and mythology. Yes, you can. Just like evolution. Okay. Secular Rarity saying a very good point. Tracing the history of word is very important to help give a broader understanding of a lot of topics. Yes. Okay. Wait. Yeah, I think I agree with you there. Yay. When Katie agrees with me, that means
there are a few problems trying.
I need a globe like this in my background. Okay?
Oh my god.
Right here. I need like exactly the same color as this. I need one right here.
Every time we watch religion for breakfast together, you're like, I need this stuff.
I need the stuff that he has in his background. Yeah.
Trying to trace the influence of Zoroastrianism and post-exile Judaism. Scholars that are well-versed in both Jewish apocalyptic texts and Zoroastrian texts are vanishingly rare, so there is not much research on this subject. But generally speaking, scholars of Iranian religion like Albert de Jong are...
Okay, this guy, somebody write his name down. I need to figure out if he has any books. Not like scholarly papers, which is hard to read, like books. If he has books, I would be interested in reading them. Okay, let's go back. And books that are not like $50. Oh my god.
Scholars of Iranian religion like Albert de Jong argue that we do see clear evidence of Zoroastrian influence in Second Temple period texts, even though we should admit that this term influence here is simplistically covering up what was certainly an incredibly complex process of cultural exchange that took place over the course of centuries. An obvious, though superficial example of this influence is the demon Asmodeus, who appears in the book of Tobit as a particularly wicked demon and the main antagonist to the story. This name, Asmodeus, seems to be etymologically linked to the Zoroastrian being Ashmedeva, a lieutenant of Angra Mainyu.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. And look, guys, like we said, you see Deva? Deva is like bad. You're baddie. Deva. This is a gift. You're the baddie because you're a Deva. Again, the divine and Deva is good in Hinduism. It's bad in Zoroastrianism. Ashmedeva.
But we see more systematic influence in later Jewish texts, insofar as everybody seems to start theologizing about a cosmic struggle between good and evil, specifically a struggle between a spiritual being of goodness versus a spiritual being of evil, and texts that rhetorically link these beings to light and dark. The clearest example of Iranian influence appears in the Dead Sea Scrolls. These scrolls preserve a number of extra-biblical texts that introduce a sort of two-spirits theology. For example, the text called the Community Rule, one of the major texts in the Dead Sea Scrolls corpus, says that the God of Israel created the spirits of light and darkness and founded every action upon them and established every deed upon their ways. Wow. This angel of darkness is responsible for all evil and sin. The Community Rule continues. The angel of darkness leads all the children of righteousness astray, all their sins, iniquities, wickedness, and
so what I'm trying to figure out is like this whole reference to Angel of Darkness is that something that later on was linked to Satan, or like, because to me it seems like these people again are influenced under Zoroastrianism. I might be completely wrong about this, and they just came up with this whole concept of angel of darkness, independent from Satan. And then later readers were like, well, of course anything bad must be Satan, and then again they linked it to Satan later. So this is what I'm guessing right now.
All their unlawful deeds are caused by his dominion. The community rule.
That's Ahriman. They're defining Ahriman in Zoroastrianism. The baddie in Zoroastrianism, right? Everything bad comes from this. Again, the concept of Satan from Judaism originally was not somebody that was responsible for all the bad things everybody does, right? But Ahriman was everything negative in life comes from Ahriman in Zoroastrianism, right? Like if you hit your toe next to the table and it hurts, like that's Ahriman. If it's a cute pet, if it's a cute puppy, that's Ahura Mazda. If you see cockroaches and they're ugly, that's Ahriman, right? Everything bad comes from Ahriman. Everything good comes from Ahura Mazda, right? So they didn't have that in Judaism. Satan was not responsible for everything bad. But this is like the angel of darkness thing in the Dead Sea Scrolls. That sounds a lot more like what Ahriman is. So that's why they're thinking of this is like influenced by Zoroastrianism.
Rule and other Dead Sea Scrolls refer to this malevolent spirit as Belial, an evil angel who leads an army of other evil angels. So we're starting to see hints of our familiar character Satan. Another text, the War Scroll, describes a final battle between the Sons of Light and the Sons of Darkness.
Oh my
The
God.
Archangel Michael leads the Sons of Light, while the malevolent angel Belial leads the Sons of Darkness.
Oh, another thing that came from Zoroastrianism was this idea of end of time battle, or something like end of
Apocalypse.
time. Yeah, apocalypse something. I think.
So many scholars see this balance of light and dark, Michael and Belial, good and evil, as clear evidence of Zoroastrian influence among some Jewish sectarian groups during the Second Temple period. Now, some scholars go even further and specifically link these ideas to a Zoroastrian sect called the Zervanites, who believed, among other things, that the two spirits, Ahura Mazda and Angra Mainyu, were children of a supreme entity.
Time. Right? This is, by the way, this is heresy in Zoroastrianism. Some sects of Zoroastrianism consider this upper. So ancient Zoroastrianism just had Ahura Mazda and Ahriman, or Angra Mainyu.
Dualistic.
Yeah, dualistic. But then there's a certain sects in Zoroastrianism that there is one being on top of both of them, which is their mom, right? And she gave birth to both of them. And I think she's supposed to be like representing time. And I think this was considered heresy in many other sects of Zoroastrianism. So he's saying that Jewish people, Judaism, was under the influence of this sect of Zoroastrianism.
Or prime mover called Zervan, since the Dead Sea Scrolls apparently believed that the God of Israel still presided over these two spirits of light and dark. But the Dead Sea Scrolls are not alone.
Oh, so Zervan, which is the upper being, that's why the Jewish religion was also trying to not make it seem like God was not in control of everything. It needs to be so that God is responsible for both the darkness and the light. He's above all of them. So I think they're saying that means that they also got that concept from Zoroastrianism.
In even earlier apocalyptic texts, the concept of a singularly evil angelic character starts to come into focus, especially in the text First Enoch. First Enoch is a big expansion of a story in Genesis chapter 6 about angelic beings called the children of God seducing human women who then give birth to the Navabi.
Yes, these are like
They had giant babies.
Giant babies, angels. We say having sex with humans, but there seems to have been no consent involved. So we don't want to use the R word here
Because of YouTube.
because of YouTube, but apparently that's what happened. So angels coming in and basically taking the most beautiful human woman, and basically having non-consensual sex with them, and giving birth. Wait, if these were giants, if these Nephilims were giants, how did they came out of ordinary human women?
Magic.
Okay.
Or maybe
Right.
they grew up to be giants.
Oh yeah, Mortal Skeptic asked that right before we did. How did giant babies come out? Yes.
They just grew up to be giants, okay?
Yes. Non-consensual bang. Let's call it that.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, maybe they came out. Yeah, exactly. Mortal Skeptic. They came out small and then just grew really fast to become giants.
which may come from the Hebrew.
This should be one of our art. Angels coming in and yeah.
Sexual violence is against Patreon policy.
Well, we could make it so that in our version it's consensual.
Kinky.
Yeah.
Verbal root to fall.
Oh wait, what?
God seducing human women who then give birth to the Nephilim.
Oh, seducing. So it was consensual. We should read that Bible verse later.
In Genesis chapter 6 about angelic beings called the children of God seducing human women who then give birth to the Nephilim, which may come from the Hebrew verbal root to fall. These were devious angels who taught humans all sorts of evil things like magic, astrology, and war. The Book of Enoch has various names for a bad guy in chief leading these angels, but it's not Satan or Belial. The chief bad guy in the earliest section of Enoch, called the Book of the Watchers, is confusingly called Shemihaza or Asael. Shemihaza is opposed by the Archangel Michael. Asael is opposed by the Archangel Raphael. But in another section, the four archangels seem to associate Shemihaza with Asael and suggest that God has given him authority. In another section of 1st Enoch, the so-called dream vision, the angels appear as stars, and Asael is the first to fall.
I'm losing track of my angels. Are you following? I'm losing track. Okay.
So here we're seeing the idea of evil angels literally falling from the heavens. The word Satan does appear in 1st Enoch, but it does not seem to be a specific name. One section uses the word Satans as a classification of fallen angel. Enoch says that he heard the voice of an archangel driving away the Satans.
Satans? As in plural? Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong. This was something that came and was added back later to earlier chapters in the Bible, right? So this is post-exile or pre-exile? This seems like post-exile. The whole idea, yeah, it's post-exile because we're talking about the concept of evil angels and the concept of Satan being the fallen angel. But right now, Satan is not the fallen angel. Satan's is all the fallen angels. So you don't have one fallen angel. You have all the bad angels. They're all of them being Satans. So Satan went from being defined as the accuser to being a label for all the angels who are fallen. This is like a major shift from what it used to be.
Other verses use the word Satan as a singular proper noun, but scholars debate whether we should simply translate this as the adversary and not as a specific name. This seems to be the case in the Book of Jubilees, which is another apocalyptic text that expands on the Book of Genesis. Jubilees...
See, when you say expands on the Book of Genesis, this means like they take the Genesis story, right? And they later on come and be like, let's make this more interesting.
It's like fan fiction.
Yeah, this is basically what they were doing, right? These are like Jewish people with many years after the people who wrote Genesis. They looked at Genesis and they're like, let's sex this up a little bit. Like, let's make this a little bit more spicy and interesting. They're like, that's basically what these books were doing.
That expands on the Book of Genesis.
Oh, here.
I found the verse about the Nephilim.
Yes.
Maybe I have what is this? Is this a King James version? Oh no, this is a Niv Holy Bible. Man, I should have gotten
Genesis.
Should have gotten a King James.
Let me see what you're saying. The Satan doesn't kind of imply. The Satan doesn't the kind of imply that there were others just not as bad. Yeah. So no. Yeah, that's why originally when they said de Satan, they were saying that means that's not a name, that's a position. And later on, apparently, this was used to just group all the fallen angels together.
Jubilees introduces the character Mastema, who is cast as the leader of demons and who is referred to as the Satan, though again, this is more of a title and not so much a proper name, and seems to be closer to the character of the Satan in Job as a tester or accuser. So to summarize...
Oh, wow. So many different names, though. There needs to be a chart, of all these characters.
An evil leader of fallen angels or evil spirits in general becomes a recurring character in Second Temple apocalyptic texts. Shemihaza, Asael, Belial, Mastema, the Satan, and it's out.
So here's the thing. I think the reason why we have so many names and people are like, oh, this doesn't make sense. They were saying this over there, but now they're saying this over here. Well, because these are different writers. These are different people that are being influenced by different stories that they're hearing. You know what I mean? Like, the reason why people are like, oh, why did they sit over this here and this, but they're saying over this over here? Well, because it wasn't like one group. Like, they didn't sit down together and be like, guys, let's get our theology straight. Let's get there wasn't any
Let's
rule
get this straight, okay?
Let's make sure we all have the same consistent narrative here. There were some of the people that were writing it at that time and it got popularized. And then you get the book of Genesis that was written by multiple different people. And then other people many years later, they were like, let's expand on this story. But then there were multiple groups of people independently that were trying to expand on the story, independent from each other. So that's why you get and then eventually you got other group of people that even came later that were like, hey, let's put this all together and make it into one book. So that's why all this confusion happens.
Katie, it's as if religions don't make any sense.
I mean, the religions themselves don't make sense, but their evolution makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. It makes more sense than the actual religion itself.
Yeah.
Out of this cultural context that the early Jesus movement emerged. So let's turn now to the New Testament. Unlike the Dead Sea Scrolls...
we finally go to Christianity now. Okay, so we'll see how all of this leads to Christianity.
Well, did we answer our question? The title of this stream?
Oh, is the devil? Yeah, obviously.
I think we did.
Yes, we did. The devil is Persian.
Now to the New...
Well, very likely. We don't know for sure.
New Testament. Unlike the Dead Sea Scrolls, the name Belial is rare in the New Testament. The Apostle Paul mentions Belial to refer to the evil antithesis to Christ, but generally speaking, the New Testament refers to the chief adversary of God by the word Satan, or by the Greek word diabolos.
So Satan now turned into a name instead of a title. So that when you move to Christianity, I think now Satan is a name.
Satan, or by the Greek word diabolos, which is a direct translation of the Hebrew word Satan.
So diabolos is not a different name, it's just a translation of Satan.
And also the origin of English words diabolic and devil.
Oh my god, so the devil is
English translation
of what is this again?
Diabolos,
which is a translation of Satan. So the devil is indirectly a translation of Satan.
Satan, or by the Greek word diabolos, which is a direct translation of the...
Wait, what was this? This is Greek, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Hebrew word Satan, and also the origin of English words diabolic and devil. Satan in the New Testament continues in his role as a prosecutor or tester of some sort. So for example, when he tests Jesus in the desert, but he also tempts people to sin.
You know what he's saying to him? He's like, dude, you can make rocks into bread and feed the entire planet. Why are you doing this? I think the devil made a lot of sense in this story. Look at his face. Like, dude, why are you wasting your time getting crucified? You are God. Just make all of this rock into bread and feed everybody. Like, look at him. Right? He's being a humanist.
What you doing, bro?
Wasn't that the story in the desert? Like, you can make rocks into bread. And when I read that story, I'm like, yeah, like you're wasting your time.
He's
You
got
want
a
to say,
point.
yeah, he was like, you want to save humanity? Turn rocks into bread and feed the world. And Jesus was like, no, I'm gonna go die. Like the devil's like, okay, bro.
And like
Puya saying, yay, we Persians finally have someone from our country to look up to. The devil. Yay, we're so proud the devil is Persian. All right, let's go.
when he tempts Judas Iscariot to betray Jesus, other early Christians also apparently attributed to Satan the power to cause illness and death. And he is often referred to as the Archon, or ruler of the demons. But as we've seen from throughout this video, all of these attributions derive not from the Hebrew Bible, but from the same theological streams of thought that we see in 1st Enoch's Asael, the Dead Sea Scrolls Belial, and the Book of Jubilees Mastema. Historically, Christians interpret stories in the Hebrew Bible through the lens of this New Testament version of Satan. Like the idea that the snake that tempted Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden must be Satan, or that
nowhere in the Bible it was suggested that the snake is Satan. They just decided that.
Oracle condemning the Babylonian king in the book of Isaiah refers to the origins of Satan himself. The prophet laments, "How you are fallen from heaven, O day star, son of dawn." This word, day star or morning star, which is a reference to the planet Venus, was translated as the word Lucifer in the Latin Vulgate translations of the Bible, and it became a name for Satan. But the prophet here is referring to an...
Yeah, but this has, again, this Lucifer thing, or the morning star, it had nothing to do with the devil. But they decided, like, let's make this the devil, even though it was not talking about the devil.
Lucifer in the Latin Vulgate translations of the Bible, and it became a name for Satan. But the prophet here is referring to an earthly ruler. My aim in this video was not to debunk Christian theology.
That's our job.
My aim in this video was instead to challenge...
It's funny how they say that, because this is not supposed to be an anti-Christian or Jewish. This is supposed to be just a true-finding channel, right? Which I love that about them, that they don't have to do that.
Yeah,
right?
he's like literally has a doctorate in religious studies.
Yeah, but it's so amazing that when the truth basically debunks Christianity, and they're not trying to debunk Christianity, but it's just so that the truth automatically does that without them trying, they have to come and say, like,
sorry about it.
sorry guys, I'm not trying to debunk Christianity. I'm just forced to debunk Christianity because that's where it's leading us. Like, guys, it's not my job to debunk Christianity.
I'm just skeptic is saying it's not the aim, it's just naturally a consequence of looking at history. Yeah.
But they have to it's kind of like an apology, because a lot of like Christians might watch this or like, what the hell? This is like debunking everything. And they're like, guys, I'm not trying to fight your Christianity. I'm
not trying to mess up your whole world, okay?
The truth is just messing up your whole world.
Just to think historically.
Yes.
I was a history major back in college before my foray into religious studies, and I was taught the 5 C's of historical thinking, a method for how we as students of history should approach events, concepts, or people in the past. The 5 C's are change over time, context, causality, complexity, and contingency. Change over time is not complicated. It's a reminder that even if a name like Satan appears in a 6th century text like Job and a 1st century CE document like the Gospel of Matthew, we should check ourselves, remind ourselves that things change over time. The concept of Satan in these 2 documents are separated by half a millennium and almost certainly changed during those 2 time periods. The 2nd C is context, which reminds us that concepts like Satan evolved within an interrelated network of societal, cultural, and political influences. In the case of Satan, he's seen
almost as if it's not coming from a single source like a god.
Seems to have evolved in the context of the Achaemenid Persian Empire, and later the Hellenized Empire of Alexander the Great. So we should look to the conditions of these 2 historical and cultural contexts when analyzing Satan. Then we have causality and complexity. Figuring out causality is difficult because, as the historians Thomas Andrews and Flannery Burke write, scientists can repeat experiments again and again to figure out cause and effect. But for historians, the past has already happened.
Except for evolution, which they can't, right? So when it comes to science, yeah, maybe for like lab work, the scientists have an advantage over historians. But when it comes to figuring out how evolution works, then the scientists are basically a lot more closer to what you're trying to do as historians. I guess a good comment, McKinney. Sorry, mate. I accidentally debunked your religion. Oops. Oopsies.
We can't really repeat our experiments to figure out what caused what effect. We can argue that Zoroastrianism influenced the evolution of Satan, but we can't really pin down the precise cause and effect. Who was the first Zoroastrian priest to sit down with an exiled Israelite and debate about the nature of good and evil?
Yeah.
We don't have access to that sort of data.
Imagine if we knew that. Wouldn't that be amazing?
So
That's
in order
like
to
your
figure out
dream.
causality, we need to rely on logic and probability rooted in the study of primary source documents. But then there is complexity. Complexity is the reminder that everything has multiple factors. It would be way too simplistic to say Zoroastrianism caused the concept of Satan, because
that's why they keep using the word influence instead of cause, right? So again, we have to actually, when we were saying that, oh yeah, it's the Devil Persian, we're being simplistic for the lulz, right? It's not that, it's all influence. It's not like, oh, the Satan is a concept from Zoroastrianism and they
Case
just copied it.
closed.
Case closed. It's not like, yeah. So that's why the word cause is often too strong of a suggestion. The word influence might be a lot more easy. You could use influence a lot more freely than cause.
reality is always messier and more complicated than that.
Yeah.
And finally, contingency. Probably the most difficult concept in the 5C framework. To argue that history is contingent is to claim that every historical outcome depends upon a number of prior conditions. This is a reminder that everything is connected. The Babylonians conquered the kingdom of Judah. Then they carried them into exile. Then the Achaemenids conquered the Babylonians, and then they allowed the Judeans to return. It is a string of contingent events stemming from prior conditions, and changing any one of those prior conditions might have led to a completely different future.
The butterfly effect, basically.
Contingency is a corrective for the historical fallacy of teleology, the notion that history is headed toward a predetermined destination. It was very in vogue.
Imagine
Which
unironically
is
thinking
also,
that. Moronic.
no, I mean, that's very important within Christianity, especially different sects of Christianity.
Which makes Christianity moronic.
In the early 20th century for historians to write teleological histories of Christianity, that the modern brand of Christianity that we know was destined to prevail as a new religion over the old paganism of the Roman Empire. When in reality, if we were to change one condition or another in this string of contingent events, maybe a completely different sect of Christianity would have prevailed.
Okay, but those are not, I disagree with him here, because those are not a contradiction. If you are a determinist, then those two statements are not a contradiction. You could be like, you could think that Christianity was destined to prevail, while at the same time thinking if you change any of the conditions, even remotely, slightly, everything would have a different outcome. But if you're a determinist, then you don't think, well, yeah, if you change anything slightly, the outcome would be different. But the truth is that those conditions would not change slightly. Because you're a determinist. Do you understand what I'm trying to say here? So he's saying like, if you thinking Christianity was destined to prevail, is not true, because if you change even the smallest thing in history, another religion will prevail. But I'm saying both of those things are true at the same time. Christianity was destined to prevail, and it's also true that if you change everything slightly in history, it would be a different outcome. But things in history, in this universe, it would have never been a different, the ingredients would not be different. Maybe in an alternative universe it would be different. Anyway, that's getting too philosophical.
Like the sect of Christianity that interpreted the snake in the Garden of Eden as the good guy. So when we approach any concept in any religion, remember to apply the 5C framework to help us think historically about religion. Thanks again.
All right, that was pretty good. I had fun with this one. We're good? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That was fun. Yeah. Oh, Goddess Katie is saying theology is the closest term to
teleology.
No, teleology is the closest term to Dharma in Hinduism. What about determinism? I'm a determinist. Does that mean that I believe in something close to Dharma?
No.
Katie, that is very interesting. Yeah, Katie's comments are usually very interesting. Guys, go check out this channel, by the way. It's a really good channel.
Religion for Breakfast.
Religion for Breakfast. It's really good. It's a really good channel.
I love Religion for Breakfast. Maybe we should call it Religion for Suhura this month. Retard Skeptic, you're gonna have to change your icon to not be Easter themed. It's gotta be Ramadan themed now.
Yeah, secular writing. Woo, great stream.
Thank you.
That was a good stream. Cool.
Oh yeah,
cool,
happy
cool.
Ramadan, guys.
Yes, happy Ramadan. Make sure if you can safely sneak in some water while you're supposed to be fasting. The biggest problem with fasting
is the dehydration.
It's the dehydration. If it was just food, it wouldn't be that harmful, right? If it was just food, it wouldn't be that harmful. It's fine. You could have a lot of food in the morning, and you could get slow absorbing protein in the morning, and your body will have it all in your system all the way to the afternoon. But not drinking for that long is not healthy. So if it's not risky, if you're a place that's not a risk and you're supposed to fast, figure out a way to smuggle in water, just some water somewhere, like hide it somewhere, drink some water, stay hydrated during Ramadan.
I know Zara K posted a lot of really good tips on taking care of
really?
yourself during Ramadan on her Instagram. So she made a whole little infographic.
Oh, actually, should I give my Ramadan advice?
Maybe do a stream on that.
Yeah, okay, cool. We should give a Ramadan advice. Cool. Yeah, let's do a stream. We have to give everybody my disclaimers that I'm not a dietitian or a professional,
or a Muslim.
But or a Muslim. Wait, I can give. Yeah, okay. It takes 5 seconds to give my advice. I don't know if we could do an entire stream on it. Here, let me just give you advice, okay?
Okay.
Break your fast with a lot of water, okay? A lot of water. That's what your body's desperately needs the most, okay? When you're breaking your fast, okay? And then the most important thing is when you're breaking your fast is to get fast absorbing protein, because your body has been not getting the protein that it needs, right? So you need to get fast absorbing protein, which is either whey or egg whites, okay? Those are the two. And then after that, you can eat whatever you want. But the two most important things that you need to get your body right away is lots of water and fast absorbing protein. So that's how you break your fast. Before you start your fast, the most important thing that you need to eat before you go fasting, if you're sneaking your fasting, is slow absorbing protein. Slow absorbing protein. So break your fast with fast absorbing protein, but before you fast, you need slow absorbing protein, because your body is going to go without protein for a very long time. So you need to make sure that it lasts throughout the day, okay? Make sure you also drink a lot of water, because you're not going to get your water for a very long time. But slow absorbing protein is either just meat, fish, chicken, whatever, or casein protein, slow absorbing protein. So that's my advice, okay? There you go. Anyways, again, I'm not a dietitian, or I don't have any credentials, so this could completely be wrong, but go do your own research. But this is my understanding, so that's my disclaimer. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, cool. All right, guys. Talk to you guys later. This was fun. Make sure you subscribe to our newsletter to get our sexy, sickly blasphemous art for free. Link in the description. They're glorious. They're beautiful. And we have new ones every week sent to all our newsletter subscribers. And yeah, do that. Do it now. It's Dharma, it's Hekmah,
Hekmah.
and it's kosher.
Yes.
All right. Bye.